Hi, this is Vicki from Learning Services at George Mason University. In this video, I'm going to talk about how you can use Google Calendar to help you plan out your tasks so you can get ready for your assignments and to prepare for your exams. Now, before I get into how to use this application, I want to talk a little bit about how time management works and about how it's important for you to break down your learning. I really think of time management at 3 levels for school. The first is your semester, which includes your assignment due dates and your exam due dates. And you can see that I have added these as all-day events in video number 1. The next level is your week. This is your weekly routine. When do you have class? When do you have work? As well as other important things that you want to include on your schedule. Now, we're not trying to fill up the whole schedule. We're just making a skeleton. And so you can see I did this in video number 2, where we created a schedule with classes, time for exercise, and time for work. Now, the third level is your day, and this is the tasks that you need to complete each day. Now, with learning in college, it's a lot different than high school. Very frequently in high school, the teacher will remind students about assignments. You have study hall time sometimes where you can sit down and do your homework. And in college, you're in class a lot less. You're not in class for as many hours, maybe 15, 16 hours if you're a full-time student. And so most of the assignments and the learning is going to happen outside of class. So I want to share this model with you called the study cycle. High school, the teacher is responsible for your learning. In college, you are responsible for your own learning. So it kind of means giving yourself your own homework, breaking down the information for yourself in order to make sure that you learn it and understand it. High school, you have class almost every single day. You have frequent homework assignments, frequent quizzes, frequent tests. So if you don't do well on one exam, there's 14 more exams that you can use to boost up your grade. In college, you're lucky if you have 3 or 4 exams. Your entire grade may be based on just a few assessments, a couple of papers, a couple of exams. And so it may seem like, oh, there's not a whole lot of work to do. And there actually is. There's quite a bit of work to do, but it's not homework your professor assigns to you. It's homework that you need to give to yourself in order to break down the information. There's this model that I'm going to tell you about called the study cycle, and this is called a distributed learning model. A lot of students will engage in massed learning. All right, this is colloquially called cramming, right? You sit down, you knock out a paper or an assignment, or you stay up all night and you study for an exam. This is very hard to pull off in college. I know it seems to be a rite of passage, but for your best learning, for your best outcome, and so that you have balance and you have time to engage in fun activities, in social activities, other activities that are going to benefit you personally and professionally, we really want to have a work routine where you're doing most of your work a little bit over time and not cramming. So distributed means it's spaced out. And if it's going to take you 8 hours to learn something, your brain really does not want to sit there on a Saturday for 8 hours and do something. You're going to lose focus after an hour, hour and a half. Instead, your brain would rather that you spend an hour, 10 minutes every day for a week working on it. Okay? So the way that this study cycle works is that there are 4 phases. The first phase of the study cycle is that you are supposed to do the assigned readings before you go to class. This means that if on the syllabus it says week 1, chapter 1, your professor expects that you have read that chapter before you go to class or you watch the video lecture. Your goal is to get an overview of the topic, not to memorize the information or even understand it 100%, but to just get a quick overview. The second phase is to go to class, or if it's an asynchronous online class, that you would view the video lectures. Okay, your professor assumes that you've read the information before you're engaging with the lecture. And in the lecture, they don't have time to cover all the information that is in a textbook chapter. The other thing is, when you're an expert, you forget about some of the foundational knowledge that students need to have, and the book really should be breaking some of that foundational knowledge down for you. So the professor is going to focus on either what they think is most important or what they think is most confusing for students, but they don't have time to lecture on everything because they have given you a reading assignment that they expect you to do beforehand. So when you're taking notes, just take brief notes, not write word for word what the professor is saying, not write a transcript of the video lecture. You're just writing down the main points, the main ideas. And then as soon as either the lecture is over or you finish watching the video, as soon as possible, preferably within 24 hours, I like to do it immediately after class, you want to review and process your notes. If you wait until the first exam to look at your notes 4 weeks into the semester, you're not going to remember what a lot of your notes meant. And maybe you missed something or you started to daydream. Okay, so spend 5 minutes after the lecture and read over your notes and make sure that you didn't miss anything. And if you did, look it up in your book, look it up on the PowerPoint slides if those are provided to you. You can email the professor, hey professor, I did well, but then I kind of lost you when you started talking about this particular topic. You can reach out to a classmate. Hey, I started daydreaming after a few minutes. Can you tell me what she was talking about during this point of the lecture? But it really doesn't take very much time to review those notes and fill it in. Write out any abbreviations. Maybe you started to draw an illustration and you ran out of time, so maybe finish the illustration. But it really doesn't take a whole lot of time. And then phase 4 of this study cycle is to use intentional study sessions. This is going to look different in every class. So in a math class, I'm going to do math practice problems. In a lab, I'm probably going to work on my pre-lab, write up my pre-lab, and then also make sure I leave time to write up the results of the experiment that was done. So I'm going to work on the pre-lab and then writing up the results. And in English class, I'm going to start working on my paper. Same with a history class. I might start working on a project. I'm going to read over the assignment. I'm going to start working on it. It's important to note that this study cycle is a weekly cycle. This is what you do every week, not just from one exam to the next, but something that you're doing every week. So if I have class on Monday, by Sunday, I'm going to have my readings done. And then on Monday, I'm going to go to class or I'm going to watch the pre-recorded lecture. I'm going to review my notes, and then I'll go to class again on Wednesday. I'll do this part again, and then I'm going to use intentional study. And maybe I'm taking like an advanced biology class, or I'm taking an advanced psychology class, and there's a lot of vocabulary. I might go ahead and make a Quizlet. So if we read this week chapter 1, I'm going to go ahead and make Quizlet flashcards for chapter 1. That's the way that I'm going to prepare with intentional study for this particular class. If you keep up with the learning each week, getting ready for an exam is going to be manageable. It'll still be challenging, but it's going to be a lot more manageable than if you wait until 2 days before an exam and you realize, oh my gosh, I have to read and learn and watch video lectures for 4 chapters. And maybe there's 8 video lectures that you need to watch. It becomes overwhelming. So we don't want to get overwhelmed. Follow this study cycle where you're doing a little bit every day for most of your classes. It's going to make it a lot more manageable. Now, how do we plan this out? All right, so we're back to our Google Calendar, and you can see that last time I had added some due dates and the weekly routine with some exercise classes and work. I'm going to open up an app in Google, and you can see it's already previewing here on the side with a little light bulb. It's called the Keep app. And Keep is a note app. It's almost like sticky notes for your computer. Or if you're familiar with Trello, it's a simplified version of Trello. So I can make a note and I can give it a name. And I'm going to actually plan out 2 to 3 goals for the week. And so this is actually, I'm looking forward, and I see that next week I have a research paper due on Monday and a midterm exam on Tuesday. So I'm actually thinking about this week. I'm looking at the week before here. And so complete research paper for IT. And then my second one, oh no, all right. And then my second one is study for conflict exam. All right, so these are my big goals for the week. Now, if you've ever used a to-do list and you just keep adding things on there, this is what I need to complete, what I need to get done. It tells me what I need to do, but it doesn't tell me how to do it. And with this next step, I'm going to break it down so that it tells me how to accomplish these 2 goals. And I also have other work for other classes to do. I still have things I need to do for the math class and the psychology class. It's not just about these classes. There's other work that needs to get done. So I need to account for that. So to make a new note, I'm going to just click that plus button and I'm going to give it a title. And because I'm planning out daily tasks, I'm going to give my note a name. I'm going to call it Monday. And then let me open this up and keep. I've got some really nice options here where I can just add a note, but what I want to do, I want to show checkboxes because what I'm trying to do here is to set 2 to 3 tasks to complete each day for the next 7 days. If I just plan a day ahead, I'm going to be panicking on Sunday. Oh my God, I have a research paper due tomorrow. And I'm going to be freaking out that I have a test on Tuesday. But because I'm planning out several days in advance, no assignments should sneak up on me. I should be planning out small things I can do each day for each of these things. So I like to add these little check boxes so that I can check them off as they're completed. The first thing I want to do on Monday is I want to read the research paper instructions. And to be honest, I probably should have started this paper a week earlier. I should have started it maybe at least 2 weeks before it was due. All right, so that's one task I'm going to do today. The next task I'm going to do is I'm going to identify the chapters covered in the exam. Okay? And then the third thing I'm going to do is read chapter 6 for psychology, because like I said, I still have assignments due for my other classes. This also allows me to color code this. So I'm going to make Monday green, and I'm going to close Monday. I can move these around, and it's one thing that I find a little bit annoying is that it moves around. So I can actually pin, I'm going to pin goals for the week so that it stays where it's at. And then I'm going to make a new note. And I'm going to title it Tuesday. All right, again, I'm going to show the check boxes. I'm going to put a color on here. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I read the research paper instructions on Monday, and probably I'm going to pick a topic. So now I'm going to locate and read. I'm going to say locate, read, and annotate 3 sources for my research paper. Okay. The second thing that I'm going to work on is to start working on that conflict exam. And so I see that it's covering 4 chapters. So I'm going to answer the end of chapter questions for chapter 1 in conflict. Okay, this is a way for me to prepare for that exam. A lot of students will prepare for exams by rereading, and you get this sense like, oh, it's familiar, so therefore I know it, and that's not usually the case. When you take a test in high school, you usually just have to recognize the right answer, and in college, you actually have to remember the right answer. So reading it over and over again is not a deep enough learning level. I need to take it up a notch. And the way I'm going to do that is by quizzing myself. Most of textbook chapters are going to have some questions at the end, so I can reflect on my knowledge of this information by quizzing myself by answering those end of chapter questions. Another thing I could do is to take the PowerPoint slides and use the slide headings and quiz myself on the content of the slides. Or, of course, I can make Quizlet flashcards. That's another thing. And then quiz myself on those flashcards. And then I'm going to complete 10 math practice problems. Yes, I know I don't have a math exam coming up, but like I said, with the study cycle, I want to be learning as I go. I don't want to wait until right before an exam to learn the information. So if I keep this up and I do a few math practice problems most days of the week, I'm going to be in pretty good shape. Of course, then we'll do one for Wednesday. I'm going to open up my check boxes, make it a color. So for Wednesday, I'm going to brainstorm a thesis for my paper. I'm going to answer end of the chapter questions for chapter 2 in conflict, and work on my other class, post on discussion board for communication. All right, so you can see that I would do this for the next 7 days, and each day is going to have its own note. Now, hopefully it is. So now when I've toggled back over to the calendar, you can see that they're showing up here. They're not in the right order, but I can see like Monday, here's what I need to do. So then if I get this done, I will check it off, and it's going to move down to the bottom part here. I don't have to do these things on these particular days, but by making a plan, I'm going to feel much less stressed. And you can see I'm breaking this down. So I'm not jumping right to write the paper. There's little things I need to do before I'm ready to write the paper. I need to understand the assignment. I need to pick a topic. I need to do research questions. I need to find sources. I need to come up with a thesis, an outline. All of that's going to happen before I actually start writing the paper. That's actually towards the end, but a lot of students will jump right to write the paper. And in high school, you probably could pull off writing an entire paper in a day, but the writing assignments are much more in-depth and longer, and they take more thinking time. You have to spend more time actually analyzing the sources and synthesizing them together, and that actually takes a little bit of time. So that's why we want to spread this out and break it down and do a little bit every day. Same with preparing for this exam. I'm going to try, one of my goals is to do a chapter a day. And then if there's a study guide, I'll break down the study guide into small pieces. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to try and answer 4 of the study guide questions today from the top of my head. And whatever I can't answer, I need to go back and review and maybe try to come up with a way to memorize that information, develop a mnemonic for that. But we want to break this down, and we want to do a little bit every day. Now, I don't have to have 3 tasks, but 2 to 3 tasks each day is pretty reasonable. Now, let's say there was something on my schedule where, like Wednesday, this block of time between my psychology class and work, maybe I had something a lot to do here. Maybe Wednesday I'm not going to have any school-related tasks to do because it's going to be really tough to get something done, or I might just put 1 or 2 tasks for that day. And then Friday I have more time, so maybe that day I put 4 tasks. But in general, we want 2 to 3 goals for the week, 2 to 3 tasks for the day. We're planning out 7 days at a time. At the end of the week, I want to take a look at this. Did I complete everything? Did I put things on here that I actually did? Did I put things on here I feel like I should do, but I actually have no intention of doing? Don't do that, because when we don't finish all of our tasks, we feel kind of bad. And don't be hard on yourself. Like I said, if you finish something and you finished it on, let's say I jumped ahead and I did something for Tuesday on Monday, that's okay. This stuff is flexible. It's just making a plan and taking a few minutes to go through and plan out what you're going to get done. Include not just the things for the goal, but also the other assignments that you need to do for your class, for your weekly upkeep. You know, reading, note taking, doing practice problems, starting on, doing discussion board posts, those sorts of things. If you would like more information about managing your time in college and you're a student at George Mason University, please feel free to schedule an appointment for academic coaching. We work with students one-on-one to help you plan out, first of all, to set your goals, whatever academic goals are, and then to help you develop a study plan and break down these assignments into manageable pieces. To schedule an appointment, go to our webpage, learningservices.gmu.edu, and click the Make an Appointment button in the upper right-hand corner. You can also give us a call during business hours, which are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and our number is 703-993-2380. Thank you.